waiting for another board member. She's here. Here she comes. Thank you for coming tonight. Our first item tonight is to hold a required public hearing on the Board of Finance, and that will be the first thing we do. And I'll call this meeting to order, and I will turn that over to Dr. Mellon.
Thank you, Board. Again, as Ms. Perkins mentioned, by Indiana code, a Board of Finance meeting must be held by this body between January 1 and January 31st. So that's what we're doing tonight, and that's by Indiana code 051.10152. And also, as part of this meeting, we need to establish officers for the Board of Finance. And it would be my recommendation, at least this has been past practice, that there has to be a board president and secretary, and generally, since we already have a board president and secretary for our regular school board entity, it'd be my recommendation to you as a board that Teresa Perkins would be the president of the Board of Finance, and Christina Gilkey would be the secretary of the Board of Finance. But we would need a motion to that effect.
So moved.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second. Any comment, questions? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Opposed? Thank you very much. Also, by policy, we have to review the investment policy 6144. And part of that is that I must give you an investment report. And what Dr. Deichel has done for us is dollars that are invested on an annual basis are identified here above, and you can see starting back in 2010 all the way through 2017. These are the dollars through investments that have been made. It's important for me to tell you that we use what's called a sweep account. So that sometimes you can do, these funds are fully FDIC, fully guaranteed, and we've looked at certificates of deposit and other investment options, but the best option to get the greatest return on investment has been the sweep account. So you can see $226,000. All those dollars go into the general fund. They all help us to fund the operating costs of our district. You remember 93% of our budget is personnel, and that is about a $69 million cost to our district. So at least these dollars come in and help defray some of those cost factors. Then also, Dr. Deichel wanted me to make sure that I shared with you, if you remember, it was one of his brainchilds that we start to pay bills using our bank card on a consistent basis, and we get a 1% cash back. And at least you can see it started in 2013, but in 2017, by paying our bills via the credit card and taking advantage of that 1% cash back, there's another $40,622.56, and that also goes into the general fund. So the investments are dollars that are helpful. They all go to the general fund, and they help to defray costs that we have to operate the school corporation. So that is the investment report. And if you have any questions about any of that, I'd be happy to try to answer them.
Do we check and see who's giving the best percentage on cash back?
Yeah, yes. In fact, Dr. Dykle does that. On an annual basis, he's looking at the best deals. He's also looking at the best investment options. So, you know, as you know, there are not too many great opportunities out there to earn a very high level of interest. So he does shop around, and he does do his due diligence, not only on just the investments as a whole, but also as it relates to the cash back. And he has changed that card over time. So hearing no other comments, it would...
Do we have public comments?
No.
No, okay. So we will close that meeting. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And call to order our regular meeting, the January 23rd regular meeting. And in the past, we have gone to our schools, visited our schools, and this time, instead of going to a school, we've invited a school here tonight. We've invited Wilson Elementary and Principal Holder, who is walking in the door as we speak, to make a presentation. This is always a fun part. Oh, lots of them.
Dr. Holder, did you happen to bring the entire school with you?
Yes. Thank you for doing that.
It's just a highlight.
That's awesome.
What does she have in store for us?
Wilson Elementary School is an amazing place to learn and grow. We are an A school and show pride in all that we do. We have dedicated teachers, students, and families that come together to help our students be greater.
Mrs. Scott helped me to breathe. Mrs. Scott helps me write sentences.
Everybody is included at Wilson. From the preschool to 5th grade, we love all of our kids.
Mrs. Bloomer taught me how to tell time. This year I've learned a lot about Leonardo da Vinci with the help of Miss Simon.
Learning is what we do best. We use pacing guides, textbooks, technology, and collaboration to be planned and purposeful for our students.
I like learning about how to use a Venn diagram. I have liked learning the Lego STEM room.
Outstanding athletic achievement is just one way we showcase our greatness. Our basketball teams, cheer squads, wrestling, and track and cross country teams all provide a way for students to work together in athletics.
Victory happens every time I see one of my students grow. We use learning checks and goal setting to monitor, motivate, and celebrate our students' achievements.
My reading level went from a 4 to a 14. Thank you, Mrs. Hicks and Miss Bates.
Everyone is included in Wilson. We all have a story. Diversity is a strength, and we learn from one another.
We are not a race, economic status, or gender. We are Wilson.
We love our paraprofessionals and support staff. Without the help of all of our amazing people, we could not accomplish our amazing achievements.
I like Miss Thomas because she helps me with math.
The Communities in Schools Partnership has brought tutoring, counseling, resources, volunteers, and opportunities for our students to help them achieve and show pride.
I like CIS because Miss Shannon helps me with homework.
I will give my time, talent, and dedication to my students. I will come early, stay late, turn off and set the alarm on nights and weekends for my students. The greatest gift you can give a child is a teacher who loves and cares. Our teachers are Wilson.
I love Wilson because of all the learning that they've given me teachers have given me confidence to learn new things throughout my years here.
Leadership is essential to keeping 500 students, 48 staff members, and 300 at-risk students working to their potential.
Leadership is not one person, but our BLT, our grade levels, our teachers who work together to meet students where they are and challenge them to do great things.
Students are engaged in meaningful work and develop and enhance their passions, skills, and knowledge to take them forward in their learning. We have talent shows, art expo, robotics, clubs, and performances that allow students to show their talent and passion for learning.
Miss Eiderman taught me that it is okay to make a mistake because you can still make something beautiful from it.
In science club, I learned that there isn't just one way to make a volcano. It was really fun to learn about science.
Our staff is the best and goes above and beyond for our students. From our cafeteria manager who helps monitor our kids
to our custodian who runs chess club for our students. We are greater together. Mr. Pat taught me how to play chess, and that's how I ended up beating him.
Taught me how to have determination.
Mr. Pat taught me to clean up all mess.
No one can deny that we are giving 110% for our students. We have our challenges, we have our worries, and we have shed tears of joy, loss, and frustration. But together, all of us here are Wilson. Tonight we have parents, we have teachers, we have para-educators, we have custodians, we have communities and schools, and we have our Wilson Wildcats here. From our heart to yours, we hope that you will remember what makes our school great.
Dr. Holder?
Freeze.
Oh, they do?
It's not your turn yet.
Cards for you.
No, but someone. Okay, thank you. What's your Thank you. That's beautiful. Thank you very
Just hang on 1 second.
All right, Wildcats, you stay where you are.
Dr. Holder is one of the most organized, precise, meticulous people, as you can see. She's also extremely creative, and she's also understanding of the tremendous value that our teachers bring to the table on a daily basis. Knowing the staff entirely, every single one of you here, I know that you live and breathe Wilson. You do everything in your power to help every single child be successful in what they do. And what you've done tonight is you've come and you've been able to share some of that with us, this public that's here tonight. And I just want to let you know on the behalf of our board of directors that we are extremely proud of all of you, and we greatly appreciate everything you do for our kids. So thanks again.
You're certainly welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting, but I know you got a lot of youngins here, so if you would like to leave the meeting now, that's okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you all for take care. Bye-bye.
First public
Well, that's definitely going to be hard to top. Okay, Renee, would you please show all of us here except for Ms. Hutchinson? And if you're in our audience, if you would please silence your phones for the rest of the meeting. And if you'd stand, and we'll say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to get a motion for the approval of the agenda, please. So moved. And I have a second? Second. Are there any questions or concerns? All in favor of adopting the agenda as it is, say aye. Aye. Unanimous. Do we have any public comments on agenda items? No comments tonight. Our next agenda item is goals and strategies, board planning, and tonight I'm very excited to turn this over to Dr. Mellon and the Downtown Elementary Tactic Team. I was able to be a member of that team, and I'm very excited about their presentation tonight.
And board, I think that you'll be very impressed. I'd like to get it started really by having Denise Elnor, Maple Elementary Principal, open this presentation up. Denise.
And can I say that I don't think it's fair I have to follow all of the cute kids? So we are going to start this evening with why did Greater Clark vote to close Maple and Spring Hill Elementary Schools? We're going to begin with a short video.
Maple Elementary is going to be closed because the building has some inadequacies. We need new HVAC systems throughout Maple. So we have classrooms where the air conditioners drip onto the carpet. We have terrazzo floors in some of our restrooms that are permanently stained and have an odor to them. We have some leaks in our ceilings throughout the building. It would be more costly to Greater Clark as a corporation to repair our building than it would to possibly build a new building and consolidate two buildings into one.
I believe one of the reasons Spring Hill is closing is because of low enrollment. There's not a lot of growth in the area, and we currently do not have a lot of students attending our schools. We do have several classrooms that are empty, and I don't see where there's growth coming, so over the years, the population for elementary students will dwindle. The second reason I believe it's closing has to do with repairs. We want a school that has modern technology, and the current building cannot house that.
The building's conditions and the technology that they lack really is doing a disservice to people in the community. So they did what they thought was the right thing to do, in closing those schools to better serve those students?
It's not the building that makes the school, it's the people within the building. And so our plan right now is for all of our Spring Hill and Maple staffs to move into the new building. So the people will be there. So we will still be the warm, friendly, inviting schools that our families know. We're just going to be in a different location.
I think the people that benefit most from the new school in the downtown area is really the entire community. It's students, it's our residents, potential new residents, anybody who has been around downtown Jeff in the last several years is now becoming a destination and people want to live there. Having a vibrant, alive downtown school is an integral part of that downtown revitalization.
So one of the main reasons that we would like to build a new downtown school is for equity for all of our Jeffersonville students. Both Spring Hill and Maple Elementary Schools are Title I buildings, but because our Title I funds are divided, they don't go quite as far. We're not able to use those Title I resources as effectively as we would like to be able to. We have limited special education services, so if a student in the Maple area has an emotional disability or a severe and profound disability where they need to be in a self-contained classroom, those students have to be bused to Spring Hill or another Jeffersonville school. So we would like to be able to keep all of our home students in their home school. We do not have any direct ELL services in Maple and Spring Hill, but combining our schools, we would like to be able to provide those services. So again, we want our students to be able to stay in their home school to create an equitable environment for all of our kiddos in Jeffersonville. Also, as far as related arts go, at Spring Hill, they have one teacher who teaches art, music, and PE, and that's a full load.
And she does an excellent job.
She absolutely does. Absolutely. Likewise at Maple, we have one teacher who is split between art and music, and again, she does a fantastic job. But wouldn't it be nice if we could have teachers who could focus on their one content area and spend their time and their resources on one content area? We do have staffing constraints because of our low enrollments. We have 1.5 or one teacher at each grade level. So we have first grade at Maple, we have first grade and kindergarten in the same classroom. And even though our teachers do a beautiful job with their split classes, it's still not equitable for our students because, as you can imagine, a kindergartner and a first grader don't need the same things, but their teacher's time is split between 2 grade levels, 2 sets of standards, 2 different methods of assessment. So we would really like for our students and their teachers to be able to focus on just their grade level content and their grade level standards. Having one teacher at each grade level, it doesn't give you the opportunity for grade level collaboration. So in larger buildings where there might be 2, 3, 4 teachers at a grade level, one teacher can focus on math and one teacher can focus on reading. Another teacher might focus on science and social studies. Then when there is professional development offered for those areas, the teacher whose specialty is the reading, they go to the reading PD and they bring that back and share it with all of their colleagues on their grade level. At Maple and at Spring Hill, our teachers go to all of the professional developments because they have to be specialists in every single area. So they're spread very thin and they do a great job. So we by no means have a lesser education or lesser instruction in our buildings, but our teachers are spread very thin. We have fewer staff to cover extracurricular activities. Our supervision before and after school, we're down to 2 or 3 paras in each of our buildings. And when you're trying to supervise 200 students in the morning who might be in the cafeteria, in the gym, maybe going to a classroom, that's very difficult to supervise. And if somebody has to take a day off, then somebody else has to step in and do the supervision. That means that they're not doing other duties that they should be doing. After school activities, community events, etc. If half of our staff comes to a literacy night, that's 5 teachers, and a lot of times 5 teachers is not enough staff to cover a literacy night. So we have to have all of our staff at every single event, every single time in order to have enough coverage. Likewise, we have more ECA, that's extracurricular positions, than we do certified staff members. So unfortunately, oftentimes we have to go outside our building to fill those positions. Office staff is minimized in both of our buildings. So at Spring Hill, they have a health assistant, but they have a half-time SAM. At Maple, we have just the opposite. We have a full-time SAM in our building, but we have a half-time health assistant, and that doesn't mean that kids only get sick half of the time. It means that somebody else has to step in and take care of those kiddos. Again, going back to equity for our students, with our small enrollment, that also brings a smaller body of parents to pull from. So we have less students to pull from for our extracurricular activities. So other schools, you know, maybe the bigger schools are always going to win those championships, are always going to bring home that gold medal. Well, unfortunately for Maple and Spring Hill, we have awesome athletes and we have awesome coaches, but we just don't have the student body to pull from to get the talent for those, or even the interest in those activities. So we have less participation in our extracurricular activities. We have fewer parents to pull from for our PTO and our PSO, and not to say that we don't have great parent participation, but our parents are spread thin as well. We have a few parents who are doing everything for our school, and they become tapped out as well. We have a couple of graphics here just to show you over a 9-year period the declining enrollment. You'll see for both Maple and Spring Hill, our enrollment in each building has dropped about 100 students over the past 9 years. So Maple started in 2009 with 261 students. This school year, we're about 177. Oh, I'm sorry, we were about 203. 212, sorry. Then Spring Hill in 2009 was 261, and now is about 177. This is just some numbers as far as operating costs for our buildings. At Maple, our current annual operating cost is $700,000. Spring Hill, it's $800,000. By consolidating into one building, we would save the operating costs for one building, which would approximately be $700,000. The operation of a new, larger downtown school would be about $800,000. At the bottom, you see the cost to educate students in both Maple and Spring Hill as opposed to average elementary school in Jeffersonville. You can see that the average cost per student, this is operating the buildings, staffing the buildings, is about $4,700 for an average Jeffersonville elementary school. At Maple, we're about $6,500, and at Spring Hill, they do have 2 smaller self-contained special ed classrooms, which their price per pupil goes up a little bit, is $9,300 approximately. So our vision as a tactic team was to have a state-of-the-art elementary school that will attract families to Greater Clark County schools, specifically to our downtown area. In order for our entire community to thrive and prosper, Greater Clark has to be part of that process.
Thank you. Good evening, school board and the members of Clark County community. I am Verinda Cunningham Lester, and I'm the principal at Spring Hill Elementary. I've been given the opportunity to share with you benefits of a downtown school, but I will begin by asking you a question. Why not a downtown school? The current downtown area has places where citizens live, work, dine, and participate in physical activities. So we just want to add one more part to that. We want to add the opportunity to educate children in the downtown area. Now, one of the benefits of the downtown school, or having a downtown school, is to provide for rich educational experiences for students, including developing career readiness skills by partnering with local businesses. It also will attract families to downtown Jeffersonville, adding a downtown presence where people can again live, work, dine, play, and now educate children. Building a state-of-the-art building will provide an excellent learning opportunity where teachers can teach and students can learn 21st century skills such as collaboration, communication, and critical thinking skills. Building a state-of-the-art school will provide services, as you heard, for ELL students, special needs students, so students in the neighborhood can go to school with their friends. Building a downtown school, the benefits of a downtown school, it'll add to the community where families can live, work, play, dine, and learn. We're going to show a short video where Dr. Hare is going to explain why a facility tactic team was developed.
Spinning.
We listened to the stakeholders in downtown and realized that there was a need and a want and a desire to have a presence downtown. From there, we have formed a tactic team whose job it is to evaluate 4 current sites where best we can put a 21st century learning environment, a school that is a 21st century learning type of school, and have a presence in downtown. We think that the children that live in that area deserve nothing but the best.
I think Greater Clark realized that there was a lot of passion about selecting a site for the new downtown elementary. So they brought us on board as part of the team to help facilitate the discussions, and they formulated the facility tactic team. So it's a group of Clark administrative folks, principals, teachers, parents, and interested community members.
Well, I'm a lifelong Jeffersonville resident. I'm a product of Greater Clark County Schools. I'm a fan of teachers. I am a teacher. I want what's best for students and kids, and it doesn't matter if they're my students or kids or the kids that are in my neighborhood. It's all about kids, and I feel passionate about education, passionate about my city, passionate about my community, and I want to make sure that the best option for downtown Jeffersonville happens.
Ultimately, the goal is to determine which location best fits for the new downtown elementary. But part of it has also been, what is the criteria? What are there certain things that we want in a building? And we've come up with a weighting system so that each category carries a little bit different weight. And everybody had input on that, and we've made that a collaborative process.
So the 5 major categories for each criteria were vicinity, looking at the location of the site relative to the entire downtown district, the context, meaning the immediate surroundings around that site, accessibility, making sure that the community really had good opportunities to access that school site, the physical characteristics of that site, and then finally, cost and schedule impacts. I think it's been a great process. People have enjoyed working through the process, and I think Greater Clark is very excited about the opportunity to do something fresh, to provide a really optimal educational environment for the kids.
It is important that downtown Jeffersonville has a school. You can't take the community away from us. And with all the things that are going on in downtown with the revitalization, it's important to bring young families in that we have a school, and especially a school that the kids deserve, that's state-of-the-art, that's healthy, that doesn't have mold and doesn't have all these problems, and that accommodates 21st century learners. And I think after so much division over bonds and referendums and all these things. This is the one thing that can unite us to make a stand and say, look what we did together. We did this incredible, fantastic things for the teachers, for the students, and for us as a community.
In August of 2017, community members, property and business owners, business leaders, parents and educators began the process to finalize a site for a new downtown Jeffersonville Elementary School. The 4 sites were Court Meg Avenue, Maple Elementary, Spring Hill, and the transportation site. Now, 5 meetings were held between August and December, and under the process and direction of the Estopanov Group, tonight we're here to make a recommendation to you guys, and I'm sure you'll be more and exciting to accept our recommendation. I want to first introduce the facilities tactic team. If you are here, would you please stand when I call your name and remain standing until we're finished? From Maple, the representatives was the principal, Denise Elner, a teacher, Hendrix Posey. She had 3 parents, Anna Duke, Tiffany Garcia, and Ed Stewart. Spring Hill's representative was myself, Lisa Carter, teacher, and Carla Mattingly, a parent. The community representative, and we had a diverse group. It was Bill Burns from Greater Clark County's Educational Foundation, Kelly DeTillo from downtown Jeffersonville resident, Kenny Kavanaugh, City of Jeffersonville Police Chief of Police, excuse me. Representing the City of Charlestown was Ben Ledbetter, Les Merkley from the City of Jeffersonville General Counsel. We also had Dan Williamson from Pro Media Group, Nathan Pruitt, City of Jeffersonville Director of Planning and Zoning. We had Ron Ellis, Jeffersonville City Council, Miguel Hampton, City of Jeffersonville resident, Scott Hawkins, Jeffersonville City Council, Wendy Shepard, downtown Jeffersonville residents. Then we had several members from the district, the Greater Clark County District, Dr. Andrew Mellon, Superintendent, Teresa Perkins, School Board President, Dr. Travis Hare, Deputy Superintendent, Dr. Tom Daigle, Chief Financial Officer, Dr. Kim Hartledge, Assistant Superintendent of Elementary Education. We had April Geltmaker, Staff Attorney, and Aaron Baharkas, Supervisor of Communications. We had John McLaughlin, Greater Clark Education Association President. And these made up that diverse group of members who are here tonight sharing with you our hard work. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Brian Lindroth. I'm with the TEG group, TEG Architects. I was part of the TEG team that aided the tactic team in developing a process to analyze the different sites, and that's what this really was a process. We came into things not wanting to define it for the team as much, but to lead them through it. First meeting, I want to point out the objective statement that was that we came up with. This was arrived at by the tactic team. Select the optimal downtown Jeffersonville site for an elementary school to serve Greater Clark students and the community. Oh, thank you. And again, what Kyle said earlier, our 5 scoring criteria that made the cut. We had 8. The tactic team decided what stayed and what go. It was very back and forth. Sometimes when you get into these things, you worry about getting groups that are not very easy with information or afraid to share their opinion. That was decidedly not the case. But they did a great job of back and forth and really defining the process as they go. I do believe the other tactic team members are going to get into the criteria a little more in depth, but vicinity, context, accessibility, physical characteristics, cost, and schedule. And those 5 categories. I believe we started with somewhere around 40, 45 questions, and that was pared down to 22 questions by the tactic team. And again, I believe that will be said however many went in there. Vicinity, the questions that were proximity to population, future change, ease of community access. Under the context, street traffic, environmental sensory, street lighting, business and surrounding distractions, open surroundings, cultural and historical. Under accessibility, we have walkability, bicycle, public transportation, and school buses. And the physical characteristics, we have views of the site, environmental, size and shape, things such as on-site parking, playground, green space, future growth, and queuing for cars and buses. Cost and schedule is also very important to us, so we'll go into things like cost, schedule, and disruption. We had local contractors look at things related to phasing and other items related to cost. That's me very quickly, and I'm going to get out of the way for the tactic team.
Good evening. My name is Hendrix Posey, and I'm a 20-plus year veteran of Greater Clark County Schools. I've taught every grade from 2nd grade to 6th. I've had the pleasure of teaching the majority of my career at Maple Elementary. Maple's meant so much to me. It's my second family. The staff, the students, the community will always have a special place in my heart. We have and we will always continue to do great things in that little downtown building. As part of the tactics team, we were tasked with coming up with a vision for what we wanted in a school. So Dr. Mellon kind of gave us the keys, and tonight we kind of have a car. So it's a little exciting to me, so I may not look like the most exciting person, but this is a compilation of some things that we felt needed to be addressed. The first was classroom spaces. Having the ability to be accessible for all students regardless of disability. And it's a school. It's going to have some traditional desk and chairs, but it's going to have a non-traditional look to it also. You'll see a rendition later in some of the slides that just really blows you away of what our possible vision for this school is going to look like. Special programs. Our current gym is decades old. We need something that's more user-friendly, that has storage for our teachers, and a place for the community to use. A gym that we can regulate the temperature in, so it's not too cold and it's not too hot, and the ability to accommodate large school programs so that when we have that graduation, we have that ball game that we can support those people that come and support us. In our cafeteria and the media center, our school's used day and night. So we want the community to be able to use that too. So we want the space for that facility, the space in our cafeterias and our media center for the community to be able to use. As far as office space goes, due to our low student population that Mrs. Elmer kind of hit on earlier, our office staff is minimized, whatever. So we want a space that's large enough to house multiple entities. Our principal, counseling, our SAM, administrative assistant, meeting rooms for the teachers. As far as staff storage, this may not be that important to you, but a dedicated staff restroom. If you're not in education, you don't know. Workroom for the kids, a workroom for us as the teachers so that we can, let me say again, workroom that's not part lounge, part or part classroom, that we can prepare for the next day and plan for the kids effectively. As far as technology goes, I love this word, modern. Modern multiple computer labs with updated computers that actually have outlets that work. Like every room or every outlet in the room works. Imagine that. And then space for a lot of the programs and some of the clubs that we have after school, like our robotics, STEM club, science club. I think most importantly, the fact that it's going to be downtown will allow for some walking field trips for the kids. It's going to be closer to parks. It will make the kids, I think, more aware of the city, this beautiful city that we live in. And they're going to have some really good role models. They're going to see lawyers and business people and government workers, law enforcement every day. And I think that's fantastic. And then last but not least, the updated HVAC, electrical windows, just the core parts of a building that are so vital to what the aesthetics of our building looks like.
Hi, I'm Lisa Carter. I have spent all but one of my 23 years with Greater Clark at Spring Hill, so it's near and dear to me. And I'm looking really forward to merging not just two different families, Maple and Spring Hill family, but bringing together two components of the Greater Clark family into one building. And I can't wait for our kids to have what we propose here at this meeting. So on our third meeting, the Estopanol group divided us into 3 teams, and they gave us cardboard cutouts of all the components of a building. And each of the 3 teams got to put together their ideal rendition of what a building should look like. And that is where the Estopanol group got their conceptual rendering that you're going to see here shortly in the presentation.
Good evening, board, residents. My name is Ed Seward. I'm a parent at Maple Elementary School. I'm very happy to share with you the site facts and weighting that we discussed as a tactic team. This is where the rubber meets the road, because this is like, how'd you make the decision? Well, we made the decision by looking at all the 23 data points that we spoke about. He said it was broken down into 5 categories, 23 specific data points that we compared all 4 locations with these data points and said, okay, where does that fall for this site? Where does that fall for this site? We compared this data for all 4 locations. The data pointed to Court and Meigs. We also, as a team, we voted on what we thought was the best location, and also Court and Meigs came to the forefront again. So it's interesting to see that the weighted came to the Court and Meigs, and the vote of the members of the team came to that as well. So we're going to go through some of the 23 data points and kind of look at what we discussed. In the essence of time, we're just going to show what applied to the Court and Meigs site for each of those data points. For the Court and Meigs site, the 49.6% of the residential areas, it's the biggest population lives around Court and Meigs, basically, and it's 49%. This was the most populous site of the 4 proposed. Vicinity future changes, Court and Meigs, downtown Jeffersonville redevelopment plan. Bottom line is there's a lot going on in downtown Jeffersonville, and this puts the school in an ideal spot for that. Ease of community access. Court and Meigs Avenue is centrally located within the district and easily accessible via car. Adequate space to accommodate community functions as well. As far as context, we look at street traffic. Court and Meigs site, Court Avenue has about 5,800 average daily traffic. 7th Street has about 1,400 average daily traffic. And both of these are lower than most of the district's current schools as far as average daily traffic going by those schools. When it comes to context, we looked at environmental sensory. All the sites had some small environmental issues, but the important thing is that the Court and Meigs had no impact, no major impacts for that particular site. Context, all 4 sites have adequate to good lighting levels in a 2 to 3 block radius from the site. As far as context, we look at business and surrounding distractions. And all 4 sites are surrounded almost equally with businesses. As far as public and community amenities, there's different things that surround the school, such as the Boys and Girls Club, the public library, the Nahan Fieldhouse, the Howard Steamboat Museum, and the River Stage. Further in context, you take into account the cultural and historical, and there's no denying the fact that Jeffersonville High School used to be located on that site. It's a major historical point, and Nahan Fieldhouse, with the work that the city is doing to restore that, and the money that they've raised through John Schnatter and some of the other contributions, to have a state-of-the-art gym that Greater Clark County Schools is not going to have to pay for, that's huge. I mean, that is $1.6 million huge. That's big. So that's big. Walkability, Court and Meigs, 17% of the district's residential areas within a 15-minute walk radius without crossing an arterial road or railroad. There are minimal areas with poor or no sidewalks within the 15-minute walk area. Accessibility by bicycle, 23.8% of residential areas within 15-minute bicycle radius without crossing an arterial road or railroad. Accessibility, public transportation, Court and Meigs Avenue, there's 2 TARC routes that run past there immediately adjacent to the site. Also with this site, the administration has said that the after-hours activities, there will be a bus running for the kids. So if they want to do after-school activities, they'll actually have a bus that will take them home after school activities, which is a major component for this site. Bottom line, as far as comes to accessibility, it's one of the best locations for accessibility. School buses, we project 8 school buses to be transporting the kids there. The site allows for separation of bus and car rider traffic. And looking at the diagrams that TEG put together, we've had the buses in the back, car rider pickup in the front. I think they've put together a good conceptual idea of how traffic can be well flowed through that particular facility. As far as the physical characteristics, the views, to the north you have the Court and Porter School. To the south you have residential and businesses. To the east you have the Nahan Fieldhouse. And to the west you have the Clark County Government Building. So there's good neighbors all around. Court and Meigs Avenue site, based on a Merit Environmental Incorporated, they did a phase 1 environmental site assessment on it to come back with the effects of the environmental study. Former underground, they did locate 1 former underground storage tank, and like I said, the important thing is that there's no significant environmental risks on that site. Physical characteristics, the site's 2.975 acres, approximately 125 on-site parking spots, and that's almost twice as many as either of the current schools have. So that's parking is a good thing for this location. 0.2 acres of playground plus green space. Future expansion available to the north and east. There are other buildings there that could be acquired. Adequate bus queuing and separation from car rider queuing. As far as the cost schedule, we looked at for all 4 sites. This is based on the demolition and phasing cost, which we took into account. This holds the building and site cost held constant. So saying that they all would cost the same to build the same buildings, what would it cost at the 4 different sites for just the demo and phasing? And what we found is that Court and Meigs is a negative $542,000 cost savings by utilizing that site. Just because there's minimal demo to be done there, and there's no phasing there. I mean, we can tear down the existing building and build back new without disrupting any of our kids like we would have to do at some of the other sites. Cost and schedule, Court and Meigs, like I said, no delay, 1 phase, demo the Franklin Square building site during demolition and excavation of foundations. Cost schedule, Court and Meigs, new school would be constructed near the existing Court and Porter School, and then there'd be minimal disruption to the Court and Porter School.
Good evening, Board. As many of you know, my name is Kelly Datillo. I'm a lifelong Jeffersonville resident. I approached Dr. Mellon when this began and said that I would want to serve on this team. Since the schools were closing, I wanted to be part of a solution to come up with the best possible response to a downtown school, because I felt it was that important. In meeting number 5, we decided, we came together, we got all the scores. Individually, we scored based on everything Ed just told you about the vicinity, the proximity, just everything you can imagine. It took forever to look through this packet. There were tons of information. We scored them, they were weighted via points, and this is the result. Court and Megs unanimously came out ahead, but it was a very close very close points between Court and Megs and Maple. So at our 5th meeting, we sat around and we talked about the benefits of one over the other. And it was a lengthy discussion. We talked about the proximity to the courthouse. We talked about the proximity to businesses. We talked about everything that Ed just discussed in detail. And unanimously, every single person on that tactics team came to the realization that the absolute best, safest, least expensive place to build a new downtown school was this Court and Meg site. So I'm here to present this slide for a couple of different reasons. Number 1, I'm a teacher. Not only am I a Jeffersonville resident, but I'm a teacher and I know what I would want for my students and in my school. But secondly, the thing I'm most passionate about is this is what I believe personally to be the best choice. As a tactic team member, I'm not here to say you have to listen to what we're saying. I'm here to tell you that if you have any doubts whatsoever, talk to any one of us, and we will convince you that this is absolutely, positively the best site possible. That's what I'm here to tell you, is that there is no doubt. This is it. And it was unanimous for all of us.
You guys get round 2 of me. What we're about to see are some advanced and enhanced renderings. We did a 3D rendering of each site, but when Court and Megs was selected, they said, can you give us a better look at maybe some of the design motifs that we're going to be looking at, or what we would think you would want to look at when it comes to a new modern downtown elementary school. Now, at this particular site, we are between 2 existing buildings that have some historical significance. As we go through some of these renderings, you'll see at each side of the new area where that is the new school, parapets are brought down. A little deference is made to those existing buildings. As an elementary school, you want it to be colorful, you want it to be playful. You guys are going to see some other pictures of some other projects that have been done that we think are good reference images for what the new school would want to be. Now, but you see a colorful canopy up front, and I think the next slide, again, something that is going to capture the imagination of the kids from the beginning. And as you see some of these other images, lots of bright colors in elementary schools. And one thing that does not show here, of the brick that is above that front colored portion, Nahan Fieldhouse has great detail on the pilasters of the building. We're going to try to bring some of the existing building motifs into this. So that's going to be a play on that. The canopy lines up with the existing limestone band that's on Jeff High. And again, you might be able to see just underneath the flagpole where we touch buildings. We're going to come down a little bit. We're going to defer to these historic buildings. We can go on to the next one. Just some images of inside spaces of what we're going to try to do. Light, airy, color, wayfinding in different ways so that you can use color and you can use shapes to help kids get around. Again, you're going to see a lot of imagination, a lot of play. We're trying to excite the kids as they come in. Hopefully excite some of the teachers out here. I don't know if we are. Tall spaces and things like that. We can go on to parking. Parking and traffic flow, you may not be able to see it. We actually are helped out at this site with 3 different entrances. We have options. So at the back of the building on this particular rendering, you'll see the buses. We can stack buses there. We can get all 8 in a double stack. We can also do it at the front. We can have queuing for cars come down beside Nahan Fieldhouse and exit beside the buses, not in the same lane as the buses, or we can have cars come around to the front. So we have a lot of different options on this. Parking, for the parking, 105 on-site parking spots. There's a lot across the street that can be used for after-hours events. Lots of street parking around the area as well. And next slide. Oh, I thought we had one more. I'm sorry.
Good evening. I'm Scott McVoy. I'm the Deputy Chief of the Jeffersonville Police Department. Chief Cavanaugh had prior engagement tonight, so he sends his apologies for not being able to make it. And I'd like to thank the board for the work they've done. We've had many discussions in administration about the proposed site of the school, and I can assure you that our relationship with the Clark County Sheriff's Department and our main objective is the safekeeping of the school and the community as a whole, and that never wavers and that never changes. So bear with me, I have a slight cold. Among many other things, a new state-of-the-art school gives children a better and safer place to learn, along with safety designs and measures that are sure to be taken in the construction of the new downtown elementary school. The proposed location itself serves as a place of proven security. By that, there are, I've done some research, there are no fallible studies about whether the school next to any type of correctional facility is more safe or less safe than any other site or location. Our relationship with the Sheriff's Department, both Patrol Division and the Correctional Division, again, is it's unparalleled. It's gotten to probably its highest point than it's ever been. So when you take into account the technology, I'm sorry, I didn't follow the rules. I apologize, Dr. Harris. That's probably the chief calling me now. So all that being said is based off the technology in place to create a safe environment for our children, which is obviously the main goal for our police department, as it should be for the community. Across the street from the Clark County Courthouse, Greater Clark has already established a nearby school at Court and Porter that hasn't had any safety issues in the past. The Clark County Sheriff's Office is just around the block, and Jeffersonville Police Department has a presence in the area. Just to sum that up, there is a school resource officer at Court and Porter. He is there on a consistent basis throughout the day. The slide actually could be changed to the Clark County Sheriff's Patrol Division Administrative Officer directly across the street from Court and Porter. You can actually see the entrance that the officers use to enter and exit the Sheriff's Department. The school resource officer that's currently assigned to Court and Porter will provide security at the new downtown elementary school. That is accurate. That officer will be there. I'm sure there will be plans for additional officer potentially to be at the school. That remains to be seen. However, our presence in the area in the downtown district probably stronger than it's ever been, and that's not going to change. If anything, it will increase. And again, the working relationship between us and the Sheriff's Department will be a key factor in securing the property. So I appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
This is such an exciting time for Greater Clark County Schools as well as the city of Jeffersonville. It's an opportunity to capitalize on a state-of-the-art facility to give our children 21st century opportunities and skills to prepare them for the workplace. We want our students to feel valued and a part of this whole process. We'd like to include them in the naming of the school, the selection of colors, determining the mascot, and we want to involve them in every step of the process
to ensure maximum opportunities for them and their future.
I think everybody benefits from it. The kids have a new facility that they can take ownership in and pride in. I think it's great for residents to have a space that they can say, look what we've done, look at this great new thing that's here. And we did this as a community. It wasn't just the school board who did it, but community members came together, city leaders, teachers, everybody worked together to create this new thing that's going to be amazing.
Being that I was a Spring Hill kid, and actually my little brother and little sister, they went to Maple, so those are both of our schools that are closing, and to actually see them merge into one and it be in the downtown area right next to the field house, I think it's going to be a great asset for the kids to come over, do their homework, eat dinner, you know, whatever it is that they want to do, whether it's play basketball, play pool, work out, just stay here and eat, whatever it is, like they will have the opportunity to do that.
With the downtown elementary school, this is going to be another opportunity that Greater Clark County Schools and Jefferson Police Department are going to be able to look at our partnership and explore some additional options with our school resource officer program. And I want to say that it's a downtown elementary school that is actually being proposed, and we're wanting to bring this new addition to the downtown of Jeffersonville. This is going to be an additional opportunity for us to enhance that program and also to keep the downtown area safe, but also to keep one of our elementary schools additionally safe as well too.
A lot of the kids in the downtown area don't come from the same privilege as some of the other kids in our city come. It's their lives may be met with a few more challenges. An elementary school shouldn't be one of those challenges. This is something our whole city needs to fight for. Every kid in Jeff deserves the same opportunity. You know, to me, that's what makes Jeff great. We take ownership in where we live. I want our kids to learn that early on. They have a school. They deserve every opportunity that anybody else does. This is our chance. Let's take a hold. Let's give our children a reason to be excited. Let's bring our city back to life. Let's support this downtown school. Let's say yes to a new school on Court Avenue.
Good evening. I'm Kim Hartledge, and I'm the Assistant Superintendent for our elementary schools. And our school system is the heartbeat of the community. And we ensure, with our partnerships in the community, a healthy, vibrant future for our city. So as excited as we are to recommend the best site for this new downtown elementary at Court and Meigs Avenue, we also are equally as passionate about what's going to come into our existing neighborhoods where Maple and Spring Hill reside. So we have worked very hard. We want to find agencies that work in tandem with our mission and vision to educate our children and our community. So we are very thrilled to be able to share with you that at the Maple site, we have Bethel AME Church, which is a cornerstone of our community and has been in existence for 175 years in Jeffersonville. And they are interested in purchasing the property to create the Maple Street Care Center. This will be a center to support community athletics, recreation, and enrichment. It will specifically specialize in early childhood education, which is the #1 factor that has to determine the success of students. If we can provide a strong foundation for our young students so that they don't enter kindergarten already behind developmentally, then we are ahead of the game. And that certainly is a wonderful asset to be able to provide to the Maple neighborhood. So we are thrilled about that. Reverend Stokes is here tonight, and the organization will focus on all aspects of early childhood education. They will focus on a community outreach, fitness program. They will have a focus on STEAM, which is science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. They also will offer their own USDA summer feeding program So we're very excited to be able to share that information with you. On the Spring Hill site, the school district is currently still in negotiations with another reputable community partner that will also provide an educational thread to our community. You've gotten to hear tonight from several of our exceptional members of both school communities, our principals, teachers, and parents. And this is not anything that, as you can see from our presentation, that we've taken lightly. And there's been a lot of work to think about the transition when we merge two school communities together. So both principals, Ms. Eleanor and Ms. Cunningham, they have worked to create collaborative professional development opportunities so the teachers can work together and begin to blend the two staffs and school communities and get to know one another. They've conducted walkthroughs in both buildings together. Future plans have been made to have joint family events, community festivals, and opportunities for the families and students to get to know one another. You heard in the video that we want to involve the students in every step of this process so they have ownership in this new beautiful building. And so these are the types of things that will help them transition and be very resilient in these changes. We are concerned about the thoughts and feelings of our teachers and how we approach this change. And you heard from them the excitement over such little basic things that many of us take for granted who do not work within the school of young children. You know, we heard about a private restroom, a place to go have lunch by yourselves with other adults. Those things are very important to our educators who give tirelessly of their lives to support our children. So we've done some surveys. We have gotten their opinions anonymously and thoughts and feelings. We've taken those into consideration as we look at the next steps of this process as we proceed forward. And 87.1% of our staff members said they are ready to merge. They are ready to go, and they are excited about this change. And also, we cannot take for granted this impact that it will have on both schools being in a new location. So we realize and want to provide an after-school activities bus so that transportation will not prohibit any student or their families from being able to be a part of the athletic events, extra curricular activities that are going to take place after school, so we can make sure that we have as much involvement as possible out of our parents and school families.
Board, I'd like to talk a little bit about cost estimates. A big factor toward the end of the deliberations was just talking about cost, and you can see the initial cost factors for the 4 sites. The Court of Meg site was the only one to come in under that $15 million goal that we had. Specifically, you know, our goal is to bond for no more than $15 million. It's important to keep in mind that based upon 2 different studies that have been conducted, that if we simply were to try to renovate the 2 existing buildings as they currently stand, it would actually cost us close to $19 million to renovate the 2 buildings separately. So we can build a brand new building for less than renovating the 2. We're anticipating an operational savings by merging the 2 of $700,000 annually. That is a big number. That would be an approximate number of 10 teachers, just to put it in perspective. So we think that that's very important right now, considering budgetary constraints. From a tax perspective, the average home in Greater Clark has a assessed value of $125,000. The impact to that family of this building would be $23 per year. So if you take a look at it, $15 million is a big number. But if you spread that over all of the tax-paying entities throughout Greater Clark, it's $23 per year. So we believe that that cost is reasonable. if we're able to complete sales of the current Spring Hill and Maple properties, those funds would go into what's a construction fund, with those dollars designated to go back into our capital projects efforts to improve other facilities in our school corporation. The Nahan Fieldhouse partnership is vital, not only because it's a partnership with the Parks Department and with the City of Jeff, but because we're able to attach to Nahan Fieldhouse, we do not have to build a separate gymnasium in this elementary school, which is a $1.6 million savings. So based upon our estimates, the cost of the site, building the building, and all soft costs associated with this project will remain under $15 million. Timeline, it is our hope to begin construction of this building in the fall of this year. Yeah, that's our goal. And students would move in to the building sometime during the 1920 school year. I think that it's important to say a few things, Board. Those of you who were part of hiring me as your superintendent will remember that when I came in, there had always been this controversy about what to do with the downtown elementary schools. So when I came in as your superintendent, I knew that one day we would be at this place. In fact, several years ago, when we were preparing for a referendum, this was an active pursuit. An idea was to build a downtown elementary. The thought was that if enrollment would not be high enough in either building, that we'd have to merge. And out of fairness to both the Maple and Spring Hill communities, we needed to have a neutral site. Didn't know what that neutral site would be at the time, but I've always believed we needed one building located downtown. So that day is now. And I think it's important that equity of services and resources for our students in those two buildings is paramount. That's the #1 reason we're doing this. We cannot provide the same number of resources and services at Maple and Spring Hill as we can at our other elementary schools in our district. So that's #1. But I also believe that this is our school system has proven to be part of the economic development engine of the greater Clark and Clark County communities, that it's we must step up, we must continue to play a vital role in enhancing economic development in the city of Jeffersonville. And I know that in other communities that have built downtown elementaries similar to the one we're proposing, it greatly enhanced assessed valuations of properties in the downtown area. It attracted more families to move into the downtown area. So Board, I believe that we've had a tremendous partnership in this endeavor with the city of Jeffersonville, and that's critical that we continue to work together, because this is all about not only improving the lives of our students and families, but also improving the overall quality of life in the city of Jeffersonville.
Because we've never had a state-of school. I want a brand new school that has brand new things. Help me get a brand new school to allow me to stay with my friends. We need a new school that I need to learn. I want new friends and new furniture. Please help me get a school with new computers. We want new and better things. Help me get a brand new school that will allow me to have all my Spring Hill teachers.
there's not a better way to end the presentation than that, because those are our community's most important assets, our students. I just want to thank some people, board, if you don't mind. I need to thank Aaron Bojorquez for all the coordination. It took a lot to put the presentation together, to coordinate and pull us all together, and I value her contribution very much. Travis Hare, behind the scenes, has been a great leader of this effort, helping to bring the parties together and help to work through this process. So I greatly appreciate Dr. Hare for his commitment to this process as well. TAG Architects, I will tell you, I've never been through this process in my career, and I've been extremely impressed. I think all of us on the committee would endorse that fully, because you guided us and allowed us to choose the path and the direction. And so thank you to TAG Architects for their facilitation. I'm so proud of our committee, because there was a lot of time and effort put into this process. So thank you, every member of the committee. And I greatly appreciate all the presenters tonight for stepping up, because it shows where your heart is, and your heart is to do the right thing for all the right reasons, and that means a great deal. Our partnership with the City of Jeffersonville, I value very much throughout this process. I think that that partnership continue to grow and flourish and continue for all of us to make the City of Jeffersonville even greater than it currently is. Dan Williamson, thank you from Pro Media. The videos were produced by Dan and his staff, so thank you so much. The impact was tremendous. We have school staff members here from both Maple and Spring Hill, and I know you have mixed feelings about this, but just understand our commitment is to make this downtown elementary the greatest possible place that you can continue to teach and make a difference for the students every day. And then community members that are here tonight. I know that there are mixed feelings about this, but this, because change is always challenging and always difficult. But this is the time. I think you've seen the reasons why we need to do this for our kids, for our families, as well as for our community. And I want to thank all the community members that are here tonight, and we value you very much. So thank you, board. The next step, I guess, for you to know is that later in this meeting, we're going to ask you to give us permission to advertise for 2 1028 public hearings that by the new current statute we must have. On January 30th, next Tuesday, there'll be the first public hearing. On February 6th, which is the date of our next regular board meeting, there'll be another public hearing. And then at that point, it would be our committee's intent to recommend moving forward on this project as we present it tonight. I don't know if you have any other thoughts or comments, but...
Board, do you have any comments? I have. I was very pleased to be able to serve on the tactic team. And as somebody said earlier, this was not a group of people that just sat on their hands. They did have opinions, and they shared those opinions. And a lot of time, some of my thoughts changed listening to the other tactic team members in the room. And it was, I hope, board, that after this presentation tonight, you understand the amount of work that went into this and how focused and thorough it was. So if for some reason somebody in our community says, you know, they just did it like that, or they, whatever they're gonna say, we all know they're gonna say it. This was the most thorough, thought-out process I've ever been involved in, and I hope you can see that through the presentation. Any comments?
I would like to say one thing. Again, I take my hats off to you. It makes the decision easy because it's coming from the community leaders, teachers, and even the children, as you heard them. So I want to thank you for all the hard work. I think I was supposed to serve on that, but due to a head injury, took me out of that situation. But again, I'd rather sit back and see what the community would like to have versus what I would like to have. I'm not an elementary student that's going to be there, but the joy to see kids involved. Again, it's all about the children. And again, it's all about the taxpayers. So the job that you've done, I commend you on it, and thank you on my behalf.
Any other comments, questions?
I want to thank two groups of folks. First of all, the tactic team. I know it was a big time commitment, a lot of time away from your meetings, right? Processing all that data and all that criteria and all those points and trying to figure out, out of those sites, what was best. So I greatly appreciate your work and your commitment to our kids and our staff and our community. And I also want to thank our admin team because as a board, I think I can speak for all of us, community input is vitally important to us. And without this opportunity, it would have been, we could have made a decision, of course, like we always do, but as Milt said, it certainly makes it easier when we know what our community wants. So thank you for involving them, and thank you everyone for your commitment.
Just one last comment to our tactic team, and I hope you stay, but if not, I can understand if you'd like to leave. It's already been a long night. I like to celebrate great teaching, and tonight, one of our tactic team members, I wanted to honor her tonight, Ms. Datillo. She is a teacher at Doss High School in Jefferson County, and I just learned that she's going to be the Excel Teacher of the Year for Jefferson County. Seriously, if you'd like to leave, you may, but we don't have much meeting left. Policy review, we don't have any tonight. Budget report. Now, this is your second chance to take over for Dr. Dyke.
I know. Well, I'll try to do
how you can do.
I'll try to do my best.
Fund monitoring report.
Just general fund board, obviously, as we look at that document, we have about a $143,000 cash balance in our general fund. You knew as we were ending 2017 that number would not be what we were hoping it would be. Even more justification for why we need to be looking at operational cost expenditure reduction. So on the debt service fund, really, we don't have any major activities. As you know, we pay for all of our bonding through that debt service fund. And we get our allocations twice a year only as it relates to that. So pension debt also, same thing, where we have to make sure that we're funding forward in terms of our pension plan. We're in good shape there. There's not a huge cash balance, but part of that is because, board, as you know, we just finished the 2017 year. As we get into capital projects fund, that starts the new calendar year, of course, and that cash balance, and again, as we ended January, is tight, but again, we are anticipating revenue payments later this year. From a perspective of transportation, same idea. This really gives you a sense of what our actual cash on hand is across all fronts. Yeah. So it's not overly impressive. And that is why everything that we're trying to do here is vital, because we also want to make sure that financially we stay very stable and in our operation. And then bus replacement, similar. We're really healthier at this point in our bus replacement fund. As you know, board, we have purchased new buses. We will continue to purchase new buses as we can. That just happens to be, we're very limited in how we can expend those dollars, but we're as healthy there as we are in any other fund. And then our rainy day fund, as you know, board, we have worked very diligently there to try to have cash reserves on hand. In the case of that rainy day, our goal has been $5 million. It is at $5 million. So the good news is that at least in that area, we do have some reserves. But keep in mind, we spend about $5.5 million a month in this school corporation, so we barely have 1 month's reserve. So that's why it's important that we keep our eye closely on our expenses. So that is the fund monitoring report, unless you have any questions.
Any questions, board? Thank you. Next on our agenda is student achievement. I don't think we have any reports on that tonight. Next is the consent agenda, claims, field trips, travel, fundraisers, and personnel. I need a motion to accept the consent agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, please say yes.
Aye.
Aye. No, or aye. Thank you. Any questions? Okay. Gifts to building. Ms. Zolman.
This is going to really take a long time. We have two places today. This is all we have. We have New Washington Elementary and Riverside Elementary. They both have box tops for education, and we have $1,857.70. So we do not have a lot today.
Do I have a motion to accept those?
I accept that.
Second? Any questions?
We need to save more bucks.
Yeah, we need to save some box tops. And it was, the holidays were in there, so I'm sure we'll pick it up next month. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. Our only action item tonight is what Dr. Mellon just talked to us about, and that is the authorization to advertise the 1028 public hearings for the new downtown elementary school.
So board, that very simply, we're asking you permission to advertise, which we need to do by statute. And so I'm recommending approval of the advertisement for the 1028 public hearings for the new downtown elementary school.
Move to approve.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any questions, comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's unanimous. All right, discussion items. We don't have any discussion items tonight. Reports or requests, anything from the board?
None here.
Okay. No public comments on non-agenda items? No. Board comments? Dr. Clayton?
I think I've said what I need to say tonight.
Okay. Ms. Ullman?
It was a very interesting thing for us to watch today, but the best part of it was at the very end, when all of those little kids talked about what they wanted to do.
Yes.
It's the kids that we have to work for.
Ms. Kraft?
It's been such a happy evening, but I would just like to ask for a moment of silence for the high school, the Marshall High School. As a parent, I think about how they had breakfast and they were 15 years old, so they dropped them off at school, and now they're not going to have them again. It's tragic, so if we could just pause for a minute, please. Thank you.
Ms. Gilkey?
I would like to thank Dr. Holder for bringing all her lovely staff and students to visit with us today. I got the pleasure of receiving my gift from Hayden. Oh, we got an extra one.
That's okay. That's all right.
But that was awesome, and we appreciate you. And I know it's much easier if we come to you than to bring everybody to us, but we do appreciate it very much. Keep doing what you're doing at Wilson.
Well, again, I'd like to thank the facilities tactics team. Huge undertaking. Really pulled it together for us tonight. In a lot of different areas. Not just that we want it, but they brought the data in to support that, which is always a part you need to be looking at. But this is the first part. We've still got 2 1028 public hearings coming up that's going to be important to hear from the folks out in the community. And, we'll take all of that under consideration as we, look at this plan here in probably about a month or so. So again, thanks to all of you for that hard work. It made a difference, and I think we saw it on the last part of that with a bunch of little kids that were telling us that they wanted a new school. So anyway, great work.
I just have a couple of things. I wanted the board to know and the community to know that we have 23 board committees that we serve on. And we have appointments for all of those, and I will, pretty much it's the same as last year's, but I will make sure that you get an electronic copy of that. Also, I'm going to ask that there's a lot of important work going on these board committees, and I'm going to ask you to be prepared to give a report at the board meeting, like during this time, on the committee, if your committee has met, so be ready. And lastly, I would like to, on behalf of the board, say how sorry we are, Dr. Clayton, on the passing of your mother. She was a beautiful woman, and you were a good son, no doubt about it. Dr. Mellon, what would you like to say?
I don't think I can really finish any stronger. Dr. Holder, thank you. Did a great job. This is the first time we've attempted that, and you knocked it out of the park. So there are a lot of other people who are going to find it difficult to improve upon that tonight. So thank you, and thanks to the community. And again, board, thank you for considering this recommendation that we provided to you tonight. Thank you.
All right, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. We're adjourned. Thank you.